Hey everybody, this is Reza.
This is Sandy.
Welcome back to episode 31 of the Stone Cold Sober podcast.
It's a scorcher out there today.
No, for you, not for me. For me, it's pretty cool. I had to wear pants earlier today because it was a little too cold for me.
Pants.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus.
Needed to wear some jeans. It was in the 60s. I don't believe it was 69. I feel like it was a little colder than 69, but
That's
it
serious.
it wasn't beach weather. I'll tell you that much.
I just came back from a barbecue for a friend's birthday. Shout out to Sue Grewal. Happy birthday, buddy. And he lives in Long Island City. And the view, I'll put a link in the description to the view, the picture I took. But it was basically the entire Manhattan skyline you could see from their rooftop.
Nice. I'm about to check
It
that
was
out right
unreal.
now, actually.
It was unreal. So this week we decided to change things up a little bit. Based on all of the attention that Reddit has been getting, with Ellen Pao sort of stepping down. That's not what we're here to discuss today. One of the major subreddits or communities of sort of posts that there are is something called AskReddit, where people can post questions and the community at large can come to answer and sort of either debate or try and engage in a debate. On the answers, so we figure we culled through the list of some of the more popular questions, and we figure we just ask them today.
Yeah.
How's that sound, Reza?
Sounds good.
So I'll get us going. One of the questions was, what album would you rate a perfect 10? And by album, I'm assuming music album.
Yeah. This was posted yesterday. I saw it, and I was going through the list, and I feel like a simple, almost cop-out answer for me would be Nas's Illmatic. But I think I actually prefer Stillmatic to Illmatic.
Why would you call that a cop-out answer?
I feel like it's a cop-out answer because I feel like that's the answer that everyone would say. I mean, I guess that's kind of what's going to happen when it comes to a top, a perfect 10 album. Of course, it's going to be universally liked by everybody. But I just feel like that's an answer you probably would expect me to say because you do know that I like Nas a lot.
Right.
I don't know if I would say it's a perfect 10, but I really like Food and Liquor. That's a great album.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you're giving my man Lupe some respect?
Lupe deserves a lot of respect. Oh, you know what?
Do you like Food and Liquor, or do you like the Cool more?
I think I like Food and Liquor, but that could it's kind of it was like the novelty the first time you hear a full Lupe album, so that could be part of it for me, just kind of the nostalgia, hearing his style in full the first time. But actually, one of my favorite albums of all time, the Marshall Mathers LP.
Marshall Mathers OP is really, really good.
I don't think I saw that on the list yesterday. I only looked at a few of the top 10 albums, so I'm sure it was somewhere, but it definitely wasn't at the top 15.
Okay.
What about you?
I would, if you're doing Lupe Fiasco, I would definitely do the Cool. I think that's one of the most perfect rap albums out there. I think Graduation by Kanye West. I
knew that was going to be in your list. I knew Graduation was going to be in there.
I mean, Graduation is Kanye, in my mind, Kanye West at his finest. Because that was the young and brash Kanye West, you know?
Yeah.
And off of that album is my favorite Kanye West song of all time, Flashing Lights.
You're all about Flashing Lights.
I'm all about Flashing Lights.
Who was it? I don't know. Flashing Lights is a great song. I really like that.
I also like Miles Davis's Kind of Blue.
I saw that one up there too. I was surprised to see that so high up there. I do see Marshall Mathers LP too, by the way. Definitely not in the top 10. Not in the top 10, but it's on the list.
I think the crazy thing about Miles Davis' Kind of Blue is that every time you listen to it, you pick up on new stuff. And it really depends on where you're listening to it, not to sound like a music snob. But if you choose an MP3 versus a standard vinyl versus a 180-gram vinyl versus an even better vinyl than that, and you start to hear the music as if you're in the middle of the room, and it's crazy because the sound's very directional at that point, and it becomes an amazing album for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, there's this folk artist called Gregory Alan Isakov, and he has this album called The Great Northern Hemisphere that's really good. I listened to that. I listened to him and his 3 albums when I was in Park City last year.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was skiing all day, and I decided to take the car, and I drove like out of Park City into Salt Lake City, up north into Idaho, came back down through Montana, and the radio was just really spotty. Like the only 2 songs I got were Kesha's Timber, which I know all the words to because of that trip, and that Bastille song, Pompeii. Like
Yeah.
those 2 songs they just had on repeat out there, so I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like after an hour of listening to like basically 2 songs in between static, I couldn't handle it. So I just played this guy Gregory Alan Isakov, and his music in the silence of my car while driving through like plains on one side and the Rockies on the other side was like a really magical experience. So that's definitely up there. Um, there's a lot of albums that I just really really like.
It's like it's weird to say. Like it's hard for me to say a perfect 10. You know, I feel like there's got to be some type of criticism that you can give to anything, and it can knock it down a little bit. So I feel like I should be more hesitant as to what I call perfect. I'm sitting here thinking like one of Michael Jackson's albums has to be a perfect 10, right? Like maybe Thriller.
Ooh, that album is chock full of just
Hits after hits
awesome.
after hits, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I were talking the other day, just coincidentally, about like music or playlist. I was telling you I was listening to the Motown Top 50 playlist on Spotify, and I was just saying how I love that I don't even have to hit next. I don't have to I don't have to search for a song that's interesting or good to listen to. I can just listen to it all throughout, and I think Thriller, or even a lot of Michael Jackson CDs are like that. You kind of just listen to it, and it's just a hit.
Uh, yeah, I totally forgot about that Thriller album. That's one of the most epic albums of all time, really.
Right.
Like you can just start playing like the first 4 bars of any of those songs, and you just know exactly what's about to go down. Yeah, I think those are some of the. I mean, those are some of the more quote unquote perfect albums, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, because tens. If you rate an album a 10, to me, it dangerously becomes a question of like what we answered in our first podcast, which is just music you would take to a deserted island, you know.
Right. Right.
So let's avoid that. You wanna ask the next one?
Sure. What is the most not safe for work thing that's happened to you that happened in your high school?
So our high school.
Yeah, when we screened some of these questions last night. When I was about to say something, you got mad at me for trying to say something, and like I don't even remember the names of the people in this story. But I'm gonna let you your answer first because maybe you're gonna say the same thing. Maybe you know more details than I know.
Well, there was a lot of. I know within our year, like our year when we graduated as seniors, was the year that the school started to go down a little bit.
What we perceived as be going down a little bit at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, we ran a clean 4 years overall.
Oh yeah.
There was some drug stuff at the end. That's not really anything.
Yeah. It wasn't like not safe for work, but like it was something that you really wouldn't expect, I guess. Like I think some kids tripped on acid at one point when most of the school was in Hershey Park for the physics day, and supposedly one kid like slapped the assistant principal in the face or something like that, like threw his clothes off and ran down the hall in his underwear.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I didn't see that, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, same.
What else? I remember when my sister was in our high school, because she obviously was in the same school district but a few years behind me. She said that people got caught having sex like in everywhere, in bathrooms, in auditoriums, in the band room.
Different people, the same couple.
Different people.
That would be so funny if it was the same couple. God damn it, what are you doing here again?
Yeah,
It's
right.
like,
Like, are you serious? We're doing this again?
right, like have a meeting with their parents. Like, look, we've tried everything that we could to get them to stop having sex. We can't get them to stop. So we need to bring you guys in.
Um,
I remember a specific story of somebody. There was a couple that had sex in the auditorium. Like, I don't think it was on stage or anything, but I think it was somewhere backstage. They got caught, and I think they got kicked out of school because I don't remember seeing them again after that. And
gotcha.
I can't for the life of me remember the kid's names. The guy, at least. I didn't know the girl, but I knew the guy. But I think there was you remember the dodgeball tournament that we had in high school when we were like juniors and seniors? I think when we were
Yes.
seniors, my friend Mark England, he was a part of his team, and I think they were called like Fallen Heroes, and they were basically people that had been expelled or had disappeared from the school for unknown reasons to the
That's
vast majority of us at
amazing.
least. And I think Mark played that dude. His jersey name. Great team name. I love that idea. I wish I was on that team.
Fallen Heroes. That is amazing.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Fallen. It was a great idea, though, right?
Oh yeah. Uh, what else? What anything crazy happened?
Yeah, I just don't
Um,
feel like there were too many crazy things. And then when you think of not safe for work, you typically think of like sexual types of things. Like even the drug stuff, I don't really consider not safe for work. So
right.
I'm immediately drawn to try to think of any like sexual related activities that happened in school, and I don't. I'm sure they happened, but maybe they were just good at hiding it because I feel like not too many people got caught. Oh, well, I guess one thing that happened to me in class, I guess I would say it was not safe for work. There was a chick who was giving a presentation, right? This was junior year, I think. Or no, I don't know. It doesn't matter what year. Well, we were in class giving presentations. And so I think we had to give presentations like 4 times a year. It was cultural studies, so we had to each like
Oh, I
6 weeks we
remember
talked about different things, yeah, and different topics. I guess that was sophomore year, right? Cultural studies. And so the teacher, she had a rule when it came to presentations. She wanted people to dress appropriately as if they were presenting to a group of professionals. So maybe not necessarily wear like a shirt and tie, tuck everything in, have like a suit jacket and everything, but she wanted people to not come in class with like torn jeans and a t-shirt. So this one girl is standing in front of the class and she's presenting, right? And I kid you not, this girl is standing up, right? Now, keep in mind, in high school, this is when you start to notice a lot of girls start to wear things like thongs, right? So if you're sitting in class and they kind of like
Oh
bend forward a little too
Jesus.
far, you can kind of see the thong strap on their back, on their back. Well, this girl is standing, giving her presentation, and her thong is literally showing while she's standing in the front of the class. Like I guess the straps are they were like too high on her, so you could see on both sides, like the left and the right. And it was the most unprofessional thing ever. Like everyone, like a bunch of the kids are just laughing. You could clearly see how uncomfortable the teacher is, and no one's paying attention. Like no one's paying attention to anything she's saying. I don't even know if the group that was presenting with her, like part of her, it was like a team presentation, so they're like 4 or 5 people up there with her. But no one was really comfortable during that entire presentation. No one was paying attention, and it was just kind of a big joke. And after that, I think the teacher tried to deduct her a crazy amount of points, and the girl had to sit there. The girl apparently argued with her because the next time presentations came around, she like explicitly said like undergarments can't be shown, like can't be seen when you're presenting, something like that. That way, everyone knew. Like everyone knew who she was talking about, but
Right.
I guess no one dared to come and present with their underwear shown again. I also just remembered another story. There was a teacher. Do you remember Miss Johnson, the Spanish and French teacher?
Yep.
So for the listeners who don't know, Miss Johnson was this elderly woman who wore like she had like insane. She had a tons of makeup
She looked
Her
like a
hair,
clown, Reza. Just say it out
she
loud.
really looked like a clown. She really looked like a clown, but she like her makeup and attire, she seemed to want to be like a 22-year-old celebrity from LA, and she was
I like how
gross.
you added in from LA. Like that
Like
was.
from Hollywood or something. I said LA, I meant like Hollywood, like a celebrity, just that type of thing. And so one day we're in class and she was handing back like exams or something, and as she like walks past me, I see she's wearing like a long dress, right? And as she walks
Oh
past me,
no.
like like some dresses will have like a slit down the side.
Oh
Well,
no.
I don't know if she like adjusted this incorrectly or something, but the slit was down the back of her ass crack. And when she turned around after giving me my exam, I just like see her butt cheeks, and I was like, "What the?"
Oh
I was like,
no.
I was like, I was like, "What the?" David Gibeon sat in front of me, and as soon as that happened, he like looks back at me and he's like, "Did you just see what?" And I was like, "Yeah." And
Oh no.
I feel like we're the first two people to see it, but it did not take very long for the rest of the class to notice it. And she like went to the front of the class and started writing on the chalkboard, and everyone is just dying laughing. Like I think no, not dying laughing. The guys are disgusted. The girls are cracking up. And I think like someone threw something at her, and she couldn't write like two words on the chalkboard without the whole class just dying. And someone in class like asked to go to the bathroom and went and like told she actually went down to the office and reported it. And so supposedly the assistant principal had to come up and like bring pins to the teacher so she could pin her dress shut.
That is so unfortunate.
Yeah, I blanked that out of my memory for a while.
You sure you did, or do you hold on to one, or do you hold on
Not
to that one very dearly? You can be honest. It's just me here.
It's not just you. You said this last week. It's not just you. It's you here, but everyone's listening. No, I'm just saying, Sandy.
All right, I gave you a chance to come clean.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, let's see. Here's an interesting question. What is it like being you?
That is an interesting question. That's a hard question to answer. Was that like a top post on Reddit?
That was.
What were people's answers? I didn't see this one. Were they like really
Let's
vague?
not let other people's answers sort of cloud the way we're going to answer this.
All right, fine. What's it like being me? Jesus, I don't know. Just I'm gonna let you answer this one first.
Let's see. What's it like being Sandy Zoo? Prepare to overanalyze everything. Prepare to value loyalty above most things in life. I mean, loyalty comes with like honesty, but all that stuff to me bubbles up into loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare to feel really weird bouts of motivation that you still don't know when they come or why they come. Prepare to multitask. At work, I've got two like main screen monitors, but I also bring my personal computer to G-chat with people, namely you, but to G-chat with people and to like look at links that the firewall might block. And I've decided to start bringing in the an iPad because it has this podcast capability, so I can just listen to podcasts while staying on airplane mode. So I'm looking at 4 screens at any time. What else is it like being me? Just you gotta be okay with not having everything figured out. What about you?
So, I'm still unsure what I want to do with my life. People will ask me what do I want to do after grad school, and it's a really hard question because as specific as my concentration my PhD is, it still leads to a lot of doors, and I can go down a whole lot of paths, and I'm not sure which path I will really be taking, and I'm not even sure what lies behind a lot of those doors. So I've kind of just been like a go with the flow type of person when it comes to my education, my career. Things have worked out. They've always worked out, and I feel like I'm pretty. I feel like I'm relatively easy to please, or at least be interested in different types of projects. So I know plenty of people that don't know what they want to do with their lives, or they struggle to find something that they're very passionate about. And I don't find it too hard to be passionate about what I'm working on, despite the fact that I never in a million years would have thought that this would be what I'd be doing with my for a PhD, like what I study. I never would have thought that I would actually go down this path. Maybe not a million years, but you know what I'm saying on that one.
Yeah.
I love I'm always looking at a screen. Like I like to imagine, or I think I imagine that I probably spend a good like not 16, probably like 12 hours of my day looking at a screen, and it's probably more than that. So
I believe that.
All my work is on a screen, on a computer screen.
The first thing that I do when I wake up is look at a screen.
Right, you look at your phone, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at I look at a screen for work. I look at a screen for pleasure and entertainment. And so the only time I'm not looking at a screen, I guess, is if I'm like, with other people. And more often than not, I'm alone, which I like to be. I like to be alone. I like to spend a lot of time with either by myself or small groups of really close friends. I'm very quiet with people that I don't know, but I could be too talkative with people that I do know very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I love sweets. I love junk food.
That is true.
I love junk food. I love candy.
The candy man.
I'm a big candy man. I love chocolate. I love fruity candy. I love fruit snacks.
So you get a pick between fruit snacks and candy.
Fruit snacks are like fruit roll-ups, fruit by the foot. What are they called? Like the little gummy types of candy that are supposed to be more like, they try to market them as being healthier for kids, like a good snack for their lunch, but they're really candy, but they're not really candy. They're not like the same consistency as normal candy. I don't know what makes them different overall, but they're like little gummies.
Okay.
All I know is they're all delicious, and I like them too much. And it doesn't take too much to not get me to buy those types of things when I go to the store. But at the same time, if I walk down the candy aisle, I can usually find something that's on sale, and I'm like, oh, that's a good ass deal. I should buy that. So sometimes I just have to tell myself to not go down those aisles.
Yeah, like shopping in that state is always really treacherous.
I'll instantly regret it every time I get home. I'm like, damn it, why didn't I go down the candy aisle? I need to go back. I know as soon as I said regret it, you probably thought I was saying I regret that I bought it, but no, I regret that I didn't get it.
But you don't, though.
I never regret when I buy it.
Yeah, I don't think I bought candy from the supermarket in a very long time.
Oh, no?
No. I don't buy candy in general. So.
I bought candy last week.
What kind of candy did you buy?
I bought some Skittles. I love Skittles. Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Don't say yes, you do like you know my candy habits. You don't know anything about my candy habits, Sandy.
Wow. Wow, it's like that, huh? It's like that?
Uh-huh. Yes.
This podcast is over. You want to move on?
Next question. This is an interesting one. You're sent back 10 years in the past. What 3 words do you say to yourself?
I'm sent back 10 years. Okay. So that means I am 16.
Yep.
Interesting. What do I say to myself? Don't waste college.
Say that again.
don't waste college.
Oh, don't waste college. Do you feel like you wasted college?
I feel like I let a lot of potential experiences pass me by. I don't think I wasted, but I think if I say don't waste college, that might be even more of an incentive to not do so.
I see.
Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. I was you read this question last night, and like my first instinct was invest in blank. So invest in Google, invest in Apple, which would be great, which would be great to do, right? And then I started to second guess that decision. I was like, wait, why would I say that? Why don't I just say 3 company names? So like Google, Apple, and SanDisk or something like that. Because SanDisk blew up at that point, like what, 2005. But I also didn't have very much money to invest at that time in my life. So I'm not sure if I'd be able to get the most out of it I would get something out of it, right?
Yeah, it's true. Because if you don't have access to too much capital, then you're not going to be making too much. So
right. And then I started to think, wait, what if I go back and tell myself to invest in something, then I'm going to start to think, I'm going to buy a bunch of stock, right? I'm going to see that stock go up and I'm going to be very satisfied with my decision. Then I'm going to start to see that stock plummet and I'm going to sit there and think, shit, what if myself 10 years from now wasn't saying just hold on to it for 10 years? What if I was just saying sell it after like 2? Then I'm going to sit there and freak out, and I'll probably sell it too early.
You're right. The 3-word limit is it's an interesting thing that I think a lot of the answers that we read last night didn't take fully into account.
Right. So there were some people that said things like, to invest in blank. Bitcoin would be a good one. I should tell myself to start mining Bitcoin because I heard about Bitcoin in its infancy and I never paid attention to it. And then all of a sudden I started to hear about it in the news like 4 years later. So at the time when I first heard of Bitcoin, I could have gotten into mining and I could have gotten quite a few Bitcoin, I think. Like enough that when they were selling for like 1,000 per, I could have just sold them all. I think they've dropped down to like $200 per Bitcoin now, by the way.
Wow.
But there were other people that posted things like they wrote like life experiences. So kind of like what you said. Some people were specific, like don't date blank, stuff, things like that. I don't feel like I have too many. Like I don't think I regret any major decisions in my life, especially 10 years, like in the last 10 years, that I would really need to tell myself anything like that. Like I'm satisfied with where I am right now. And I don't think I made any major mistakes. Maybe I could just tell myself to like loosen up or something like that, Maybe that would be the only thing if I wouldn't tell myself something related to money.
What about saying like chase the girl?
I feel like that's too general and I wouldn't really understand it.
Do you feel like that would help me force you to chase any girl that comes?
So like if I said like a specific name, or yeah, I feel like if I said a specific name, maybe I would get it. But I think without knowing what I know now, it would be really hard for me to take that seriously. Like I could hear that from anybody and probably take it the same way.
You're right.
I think I'm gonna stick with my money answer. This is me overthinking things. I'm gonna stick with my money answer. Send me back 10 years now. I got this.
I'm not sure. I'm still not exactly sure.
You got to get like committed together for this. Like, look, guys, I need some help.
Yeah, because you have full context right now, but the 16-year-old you doesn't have any of the context.
Exactly. That's what makes it so hard. I feel like the investment stuff is a safe bet for a major change, or a specific name of somebody that you want to change. So, or like some like a like if you want to tell yourself to not date somebody because of how horrible a relationship it was, or a friendship, or like don't do this drug or something like that, like some of those situations can make a big impact. But I don't think I've had any major, I don't think I've had anything major enough like that I feel like I need to change it. But I
All
could
right, here's
totally see
one.
why some people would.
Here's one.
All right.
Study for Stanford.
Do you think, yeah, 10 years, 16, okay, yeah.
I think that's pretty straightforward, right? Study for Stanford.
Yeah. So this is kind of an interesting question, or an interesting one too, because a few like what 10 podcasts ago or so, we talked about what would you do if you can go back in time? Like, would you go back to high school or go back and redo college if you knew everything that you knew now? Because if you can go back to high school, you can probably study to get into just about any university in the world. Um, would you actually do it? Like, do you feel like you would benefit any more or in a significant manner?
Potentially, I think if I go to Stanford, I'll be
You're
closer
right
to
in the heart of
Silicon
San
Valley.
Francisco. Yeah, I know you're really interested in moving out to San Francisco, so that could definitely help.
Yeah, but also wouldn't trade all of my time in New York.
Yeah, yeah. I do know that that a lot of those companies out there like to hire out of Stanford, especially the tech ones. Here's something interesting. This is kind of unrelated, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yesterday when I was at work, I heard that Amazon's huge in Seattle. Like, this is where they started, and the Seattle headquarters is like 5 minutes from where I work, like a walk. Apparently, they basically hire anybody out of college that has a college degree. Their philosophy supposedly is that if you are they would rather fire you between 6 to 18 months after you're hired than really pick you apart before they hire you to lose the opportunity of hiring somebody who could be great.
Right.
I never knew that. I should apply to Amazon, or at least if I'm struggling to look for a job later on. You ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
All right. This is kind of an interesting one as well. What smell would you never forget?
I have one. It's the smell of air conditioning, bamboo, and cigarette smoke. On my first trip back to China, that smell was everywhere in all the cabs that you took.
Uh
And
huh.
anytime I smell something even remotely close to that, I think I'm in China.
Interesting. Yeah, when you say that, that's so. I had a different answer. I was gonna say there's So my mom, she when I was a little kid, I remember she used to wear this lotion and it had a scent that I'll never forget. So whenever I smell that lotion, I'll always think of my mom.
Yeah.
But when I was in Ghana, they they like roast or like boil corn a lot, and I don't know if it's really the corn or just like the cooking in the air, but if I smell anything like that, I'll think of Ghana.
It's
Like
crazy how
whenever
how intimate those memories are.
yeah, I think it's what's interesting about the Ghana one too is it's just kind of like everywhere when you go outside. So then if you smell that anywhere else, it's just kind of weird. Yeah, like how a certain smell can be associated with one particular place because it's so prevalent and then so uncommon everywhere else. Like it'll just be the first thing you remember, right?
Yeah. Do I have any other smells? Uh,
I was sitting there thinking like that's kind of an interesting one. Like, do you have any other smells? I feel like an obvious answer would be like a perfume, but to be honest, like a perfume or a cologne or something, I don't think there's actually a scent like a perfume or cologne that I can really pair up or never forget, like to the point where I would associate it with one person and one person alone. I guess it's kind of weird that I said that lotion with my mom, but maybe that's just because I remember loving that smell when I was like 3 years old.
I think for me, the smell of a home, like when I walk
Yeah,
into my house,
yeah,
That smell never seems to change.
It's almost like the new car smell. It kind of like you get used to it,
Yeah,
and then you leave for a while, and you come back, and it's there again. And you're like, this is great.
this is great. Like I know I'm comfortable. I feel safe. Um, I was gonna say something not safe for work, but the first time I ever had sex, I still remember a lot about that night. So, um, I mean, I don't think about the first time every time, obviously, but
Right.
but yeah. What are your favorite meals to make?
You already know my answer. My stews.
Your stews, legendary.
Yeah, man. That'll be one of the meals that we have to have when you come up here.
Um, let's see. What do I like? Well, currently, I mean, I have this pasta dish that I make where I I boil the noodles in chicken broth.
Okay.
Um, I do like sun-dried tomatoes. I do bell peppers. And what I'll do is I'll do a pound of ground beef first.
Mm-hmm.
I'll brown that up. Throw all the vegetables in. Get that sort of nice and simmering, and then I'll throw like a pasta, like a uh, Alfredo sauce, marinara sauce. Let that stew, and then when it's time, I will pour some of the water out of the pasta into the mixture of food to like thicken it up a little bit, and then I'll dump out most of the water, just strain the pasta, pour all the sauce in there, and then I will throw fresh like buffalo mozzarella onto it, and it basically sticks together like a gumbo.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely helps to throw like sausage in there as well, like little bits of sausage, and it takes a minute to make, but it's basically as thick as a gumbo. It's really nice.
I was about to say it sounds like it takes a minute, but yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah. It's a ton of food. A ton of food. Yeah, I think that's always been like my go-to. I really like that.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Oh, this is funny. What's your awkward boner story?
I don't know if I don't know if I have a crazy awkward bonus stories. Um, none that come to mind when I try to think of any specific situation. I feel like every guy will have just random times where they just kind of pop a boner and just kind of
Is what
it's
it
not
is.
it's just it's not like it's anything sexual. It's kind of happens from time to time. So like if you get called up in class maybe and you're walking up to the front, if you got a boner, then try to flick it up into the elastic waistband and and just play it off like it's not there.
Excuse me, Professor, while I flick my boner into my waistband. Don't mind me. I'll be up there in a second.
You just gotta be cool about it, man.
I used to wear a lot of. I mean, you know me. I used to wear a lot of basketball shorts to work.
Oh yeah.
To
No,
school.
I did too.
So that was always treacherous. Popped a boner in class a few times, and then professor or teacher would have you come up and say something. So what I would do is I would sort of like hunch my back and like try and look like I'm going through my shit on my desk. Like, what are you doing? Go, I'm just trying to find something. Just make sure I have everything. And then just like sort of shuffle papers around and be like, all right, fucking listen. All right, you need to go right now. I've popped boners like leaving class. That's usually easy, but then you're like the weirdo. Like, why are you holding your stuff low in front of you? You know. It is what it is, man. Hormones are out of control. Out of control. What are you gonna do?
See, I just play mine off, man. I just act like nothing's even nothing.
That's
Just
aggressive.
just
They just
conceal
poking
it
out of
and
your
just-
shorts, and you'd be like,
just-
I don't know what you're looking at.
Nah, just conceal and just conceal as I do me. I don't try to get overly creative with it to be like, oh, I'm just getting something up out of my desk real quick. I'll just get up in one smooth motion, just kind of just readjust.
Jesus, dude.
Guys scratch their balls and readjust their shit all the time. I feel like this is no different. So it's not like anyone's gonna think twice. At least
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I feel like I've never been. I feel like no one's, or I know no one's ever called me out on it. So I feel like so far so good.
That's a good way to approach it. So far, so good. Yeah. You want to ask the next one?
Yeah. What is your biggest mistake at work? This is kind of an interesting one. I feel like you don't want to like give up too much information, especially if you made a big mistake and you got away with it. But I feel like
I made a big mistake. I made a big mistake when I was working in advertising. That's always stayed with me.
Can you say it?
Yeah.
Alright.
We are internally. Our group was doing a little bit of rebranding globally because we had offices all over the world. So all the creative directors everywhere like took it upon themselves to sort of start to create work, and everyone wanted the badge of saying, "Hey, I rebranded the entire group." And I went to go to because I was working directly under the CEO of the group at that point. And I was like, hey, don't worry, New York had their meeting, and I should have known better, but I was sort of learning as I went. The idea is that until the work is ready, you never show the work to the client, even if the client's your boss.
Right.
And I decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we showed him some of the work just to let him know that the meeting went down, even though I just told him, and that should have been enough. So I showed him all of my New York creative director's work before my creative director was ready to show the work, and he tore me a new one.
Jesus.
He tore me a new one in front of the entire group too. Like we were working in kind of an open work space.
Yeah.
And I still remember to this day the amount, like the volume that he yelled at me, the types of words that he was saying. This all happened at 10 a.m. on a Friday, and the entire office went dead silent as I got reamed. But I mean, like, lesson learned, Could he have handled it better? Absolutely, he could have. But I definitely learned my lesson that day.
Was this early in your advertising career?
Oh yeah, dude. It was like less than a year in. I didn't know anything.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like one of my bigger mistakes it's like in my PhD career, my lab work. We have a lot of collaborations with different labs and different groups across the country or even world. And so for me, it's probably screwing up some type of analysis and then having to like, okay, I could actually think of a better specific one. It's not even that. So like screw up an analysis and like coming to the realization after you've handed the data off and then having to inform the person like, oh shit, I know I've given this to you like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. But that's wrong and you got to let me redo it. I know you've spent a lot of time going through the results that I've given you, but they're just straight up wrong. But I think a better one for me is probably forgetting about an obligation. So a lot of times I'll be asked to do something and I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And if I don't write it down, it can sometimes be easy to forget if it's something that's like trivial for me to do. And so there was one time, I think it took me something like 6 months to finish something because I had heard about it and like I was asked to help out with something and I started helping out with it. And then for whatever reason, I just kind of got caught up with schoolwork or some other project and I just forgot about it and no one ever contacted me about it or asked me about it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I think I had to help something out. So I go back through the emails, I find it, and I finally finished it. I sent it off and nothing, they were happy to have this stuff, but I felt terrible as I was doing it. I remember that. I remember feeling like just really bad that I didn't finish it a long time ago because it never should have taken as long as it did. So ever since then, I try to be a little more careful about you know, making sure I keep note of what I offer, like what services I'm offering, or I've been asked to help out with, and just be sure that I get that done. Even when I'm out here in Seattle, I end up just writing a list of stuff that I need to work on, and I was hoping to be able to work on a lot of my own PhD stuff. And to be honest, I haven't like done any work for me yet because I've been helping out with a lot of other things. But as long as I make progress on that stuff, it's still kind of they still benefit me. So
Well, there you go.
yeah.
Um, I think that was the end.
Yeah, that's the extent of our Ask Reddit questions.
Yeah,
All right.
that's some of the questions that we had this week. What are you reading, watching, or listening to?
Um, I'm not. Oh well, I started to get back into Orange Is the New Black, so I think I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes this week of season 3.
How is it so far?
It's pretty good. I really, so I think you know this about me. I love TV shows. I love the storytelling in TV shows. I like how they can go into the storytelling. They can just go into so much more depth than movies can. But I don't like when TV shows start to get drawn out longer than they originally planned. One of my favorite things about Breaking Bad is that it didn't overstay its welcome. It stuck around. They had great seasons. They had great storylines. Maybe a couple of maybe some weak ones here or there, but for the most part, the entire show was good. And it ended, and like you wished you had more, but at the same time, you can accept it because if it stayed around for another season or two, you'd probably feel like it was just filler. And I think one of the things I'm feeling with Orange Is the New Black, and maybe even to an extent House of Cards, I think both shows were slated to only last for 2 or 3 seasons. And both of them, I think, are now going in for the 4th season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I worry with Orange Is the New Black, I feel like they're obviously talking a lot more or giving a lot more backstory to the prisoners and such. And the thing that I don't like is that I don't think any of the girls are like bad people. I think all of the girls have some type of excuse for how they fell into this bad situation and why they're in prison. They have like, some sort of sob story, and I don't like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like very few prisoners have a story where they're just like real criminals and they kind of deserve to be there. It's like, oh, they made one bad mistake and all of a sudden they're in prison for however many years.
Yeah, it's like how many of these are there really all in the same place?
Right.
You listening to anything?
No, I started listening to that Motown playlist, so I was listening to some old school stuff. But that's it.
That Motown
No,
playlist sounds
nothing.
pretty.
Oh, well, no, I forgot. You told me last week, right, that Miguel had a CD, and I had no idea that this CD came out, so I went and listened to that one. It's different. It's not. It's like it's Miguel, but he's trying to like go a little more like poppy rock with it too. Did you listen to it?
I have not checked it out yet.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there are a lot more like real instruments. It's just different. It's different. It's not bad. It's different.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I've only listened to it maybe twice. So take
So
that with a
not
grain of
enough
salt, I guess.
yet to form an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I listened to it on Monday. I listened to it in full on Monday, and I think I listened to it like half of it again on Monday, and then the second half on Tuesday, and that was the last time I listened to any of it. What about you? Reading anything? I've been making slow progress on the Inferno, but that's nothing new there.
Okay. For me, I've had St. Paul and the Broken Bones on repeat all week.
Oh, still.
Still, yeah. They are in the history of us doing the what are you reading, listening to, or watching, they hold the #1 spot for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Let's see. Reading wise, I just finished The Martian.
Yep.
3 days. So that was awesome. I'm going
100
back
pages
to
a
this
day.
book called S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst.
I was gonna ask you if you've actually gone back and started to read that book.
I have. So
About time.
on Amazon, the description is one book, two readers, a world of mystery, menace, and desire. A young woman picks up a book left behind by a stranger. Inside it are his margin notes, which reveal a reader entranced by the story and by its mysterious author. She responds with notes of her own, leaving the book for the stranger, and so begins an unlikely conversation that plunges them both into the unknown. The book, Ship of Theseus, the final novel by a prolific but enigmatic writer named V.M. Straka, in which a man with no past is shanghaied onto a strange ship with a monstrous crew and launched onto a disorienting and perilous journey. The writer, Straka, the incendiary and secretive subject of one of the world's greatest mysteries, a revolutionary about whom the world knows nothing apart from the worlds he wrote and the rumors that swirl around him. So the two readers, Jennifer and Eric, a college senior and a disgraced grad student, both facing crucial decisions about who they are, who they might become, and how much they're willing to trust another person with their passions, hurts, and fears. The book was conceived by filmmaker J.J. Abrams and written by award-winning novelist Doug Dorst. So it's really interesting because you have this really cool book itself, The Ship of Theseus, but in the margin there's all these notes where you see them writing back to and from each other.
Right.
And based on the color of the ink, you can see the timeline. Like the black and blue ink is from earlier, the orange ink is later. It's really interesting.
Um.
Everyone on
How?
Amazon has a particular way of reading the book.
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, just read the novel by itself first and then go through all the margin notes. But some of these pages, dude, are like chock full of margin notes. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, like just read these color notes and then move on to these color notes. Like, yeah, but that seems like there's going to be 3 like go throughs of this book.
Right.
It's quite the experience. What I've been doing is I've been reading I'll read the chapter of the actual book first, and then I'll go back to the beginning of the chapter and I'll just read the black and blue notes for now.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Did you restart? Because you started this book almost 2 years ago. So did you restart it, or did you just
Oh
kind
yeah,
of jump
yeah,
back
yeah.
in? Okay.
I had to restart. I have no idea what was going on.
How far are you into it now?
1 chapter.
Okay.
It's a lot because not only are there margin notes, but there's a lot of like inserts that they have in the book, like postcards here, 8.5 by 11s there that you have to like fold out and look at. So it's definitely
Yeah.
not a book that I can just like kick back and relax and read. Just one of those things like, all right, you got a cup of coffee, like why don't you like fully interact with this book? It's a different kind of book for sure.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
Washing wise, I'm starting up Suits again. I didn't
Oh
realize.
no! What?
Yeah, Suits started like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I thought you were starting it from scratch again. I was like, Sandy, you watched all of Suits like not even a year ago when we were in Brazil. You watched like the entire thing.
Yeah, instead of sleeping,
Yeah.
it was so worth it. Turns
I-
out that Netflix Brazil has all the Suits, but it's a region lock thing.
But Prime Instant Video had it all. It seems. No, it has it all.
But yeah, I DVR'd it, so I'm watching the new season.
Yeah.
I finished. I'm still watching True Detective, watching Ballers, which is really iffy, but I love it because of The Rock. He's the sole reason why I'm watching it. The Brink is decent, but not like really, really good. I finished Daredevil. I'll make my way to Orange is the New Black at some point.
Yeah, eventually we'll see about that. I think last
Yeah.
time it took you it took you several months to get there.
Yeah. My roommate and I are thinking about buying the Conor McGregor Chad Mendes fight tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Conor McGregor fan, and by fan, I say that very loosely. I like his style. I like how brash he is. It's one of those things where, like, if you ask these people to be these superhuman selves fighting at this level where it's just utterly not of this world, and then we ask them to be humble if they keep winning, like, that's impossible, You can't have your cake and eat it too in a situation like that. It's like
Yeah.
when you ask your geniuses in the world to just do stuff for you, it's like it's not It's not how the way the world works.
Yeah.
Um, so who cares if he's a little brash? You know, the man's knocking people out like Ronda Rousey is. There's like if you were able to just not to TKO people in the second round, you'd be pretty hyped too.
So I don't watch too much UFC, or fights in general. I watch them like when I watch them if I'm out or like friends are going out, but I never really go out of my way to watch them. You and I did watch bootleg versions of the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, but that's the last fight that I've seen this year, and I think the only fight that I've seen like the last 2 years maybe.
Yeah. The last fight that we bought was we didn't even buy the Mayweather Pacquiao fight.
No, we did not.
I bought the
Don't tell that to
previous-
Mayweather though.
Whatever. I bought the Pacquiao. What was Marquez?
Yeah.
I bought that fight, and that fight went the
Okay.
distance. That was crazy because Pacquiao took a hard L.
Yeah.
Like that man was lying flat on the mat, thought he was dead, kind of loss. So that's it for me really. On what I'm reading, watching, and listening to.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Is that it for this week?
Yeah, Serena Williams, congratulations to her. Won Wimbledon again.
One Wimbledon, yeah. One more Grand Slam, and you'll tie Steffi Graf.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll do it in the U.S. Open next.
Yeah.
I have tickets to go see one of the matches, one of the semifinal matches.
Oh, nice.
American Express is what's it called? An advertising partner, sponsor.
Yeah.
So they were selling a ton of tickets at cost. So I got tickets for like the day before the finals, or the 2 days before the finals, for like less than $100.
Jesus, I need to get in on that one, man. Damn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats to Serena.
She's won 1, 2, 3, 4. She's won Australian Open
21?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. She's won the French Open 3 times. She's won Wimbledon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. She's won the U.S. Open 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So she's won the U.S., Wimbledon, and Australian Open 6 times each. Yeah, and then the French Open 3 times. That's insane. And yeah, she wins the U.S. Open. She's won all 4 this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
To tie
that's
Steffi
insane.
Graf's championship record and get a Grand Slam in the year.
Yeah.
Jesus. Well,
$72 million
her.
is her career prize money.
72?
$72 million. Yeah, fourth.
Yeah, just
fourth
prize money,
all
though.
time. Say that again.
I think if it's just prize money, then the endorsements are where it's really at.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's just prize money. She's first all time among women, and she's fourth all time amongst all tennis athletes. So I assume Federer, Nadal, and maybe Djokovic. I don't know if Djokovic would be ahead of her. That could go back to some older tennis
I'm not sure
athletes.
about that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's it for
All
me.
right. Well, yeah, that's it for me.
This is Sandy.
I'm Reza.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week.